Mohamed Salah penalty just flew over the building, Charlie. That was a woeful penalty. I didn't expect that at all. Coach, was that a turning point in the game for Liverpool? Because I think there were about 20 to 15 minutes of football to be played, but this was such an unrecognizable performance, especially on what I had seen the previous week.
If it is about comparing it to what you've seen the previous week, I agree with you. But over the season, this is the Liverpool
especially away from home.
Especially away from home. You understand? Look, we did a game on radio, and I was like, you don't beat Man United 7-0 and not go away to Bournemouth and beat them. Especially when you are playing catch-up for Champions League football. Especially when in the current Champions League, you are 5-2 down to the best team in history when it comes to Champions League football. You are going to the Bernabeu. Clearly, you are not going to overturn that. So as we speak, I know they've exited the Champions League. So every game that Liverpool plays now should be considered a final, enabling them to make sure they make top 4. Because it is going to impact the transfer market, the quality of the players that come in.
The Bellingham they want
to. Because there's a serious competition
Very serious
over the boy.
Very serious.
One of the things that you can use to entice him to come home is Champions League football. And if they're going to be playing in this manner, 6s and 7s, I'm not sure they're going to make Champions League. Now let's go to the football itself. We did the game, and one thing that was not right was the tempo at which they played. Go back to last week. Yes, we understood that. Manchester United was in town. So the desire, everything completely changed. But if you could show 60% of what you showed against Manchester United, you beat Bournemouth a minimum of 3-0. In the first round, this is the team that Liverpool defeated by 9-0. So maybe mentally, they felt that they were so good on the day, no matter what Bournemouth
they would turn up and beat them.
They would turn up and beat them. But this is a team that needed no form of motivation, isn't it? Because if I'm the coach of Bournemouth, I don't need to motivate
not to get
anybody.
humiliated again.
I'll just go and show them a repeat of the 9-0. And then I'll look at them in their face and tell them, go get beat.
Smiling and having fun.
And I'll tell them again, go get beat 9-0 and come and meet me in the office. I'll sack all of you quick. So they needed no form of motivation. And when the game started, they had a clear plan. You see, maybe we've spoken about the lack of press of this Jurgen Klopp system this season. Because they are not pressing in a very coordinated manner. I find it very strange anytime they push up to play the high line.
They can't play any other way. I think that's
no, but if you cannot play any other way but that, then do the job that commensurates to that. Isn't it? If you want to play the high line, there's a way of playing the high line, but you cannot refuse to do the job that will enable you play a high line, and yesterday you want to play in the high line, you get punished. And if you look at the goal they conceded, they were more or less given a reminder twice. By the chap in the number 11 shirt. What's the name again?
Dango Ouattara.
Yeah, Dango
Ouattara.
The Ouattara.
He terrorized them all.
There was a ball that he went past them, went past Van Dijk, went past Alisson.
Until the eventual goal.
Wasn't able to connect. Then the goal. Liverpool had 3 opportunities to get rid of that ball. When the pass was made, the young man, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who in my view was very wasteful and poor yesterday, played him on. But after playing him on, both Van Dijk and Robertson had a clear opportunity to have dealt with the situation. But they allowed the young man to go past them. And look at the delivery. I don't know what Konate was thinking about, because the ball was there to be cleared.
Konate was terrible yesterday.
The ball was there to be cleared. And again, Alexander-Arnold, the tactical movement. We have vertical movement, diagonal movement, horizontal movement. Whenever the ball is coming from your opposite flank, as a fullback, you don't fully keep your eyes on the ball and not pay attention to those who are coming to connect. Because clearly the one in possession taking the ball to the byline, he's not going to be the one to put the ball in the back of the. And if you look at the pass, it was a hopeful pass. That is why I maintain that Konate should have cleared. He refused to. But where was the position of Alexander-Arnold? He didn't look at those coming. And that is kindergarten. That is elementary. Now, having considered the goal, one would have thought that Liverpool quickly would have reminded them, hey, we thought we beat this guy, but now they have an advantage. They are the home team. What else can we do? Can we go and then try and change the atmosphere, change the tempo? Because player for player, clearly Liverpool had the better players on the pitch. But look at the mood. Even in that second half, the tempo gets slower.
It's like they never woke up at any point in the game.
At all. And then when
even that penalty, I thought was a soft penalty.
No, I think, look, on the penalty,
you would agree with the referee.
Because clearly the defender knew.
I have to say something about the penalty. The reason I have a problem with the penalty is not that it's given. Is that if you remember last week, when Arsenal played Bournemouth, this similar situation had happened 3 or 4 times, and the penalty was not given.
VAR has never been consistent.
And that's the problem.
We will come to the Casemiro red card. A similar thing happened with the Chelsea-Leicester City game, and the player was not red carded. Today, Casemiro does the same thing. He got sent off. That is the inconsistency in VAR. Something that we all hope VAR will help cure.
I think the problem
but
is
rather,
once is a human being who's making subjective decisions. I think for some of these decisions, they are
they
more
need to be
subjective.
standardized.
Yeah, and that's it. Some referee will say, okay, it's so close, you can't move your hand. Some other referee will say he doesn't care. Why is your hand there?
No.
And that's the problem.
On the penalty, for me, I think he could have jumped with. You could clearly see once he missed the ball, he knew Jota was behind him. You could see the movement of his arm. He could have kept it this way, but he did this.
Yeah.
And then he knew what exactly what. Look, but Liverpool have to be very careful. I'm worried.
They had a chance to make it into the top 4.
Yes,
now Tottenham have opened up that space again.
If they had beaten Bournemouth yesterday, they would have gone to part of the top 4, thrown the challenge to Spurs to restore themselves back into the pack. But it is looking like they'll have to win every other game from now to the end of the season.
Like about 12, 11 games.
I think
about
12,
12
11
12.
games.
And
I think they have 12
Spurs.
more to go.
Yeah.
And they
Spurs
will
have
play
11.
Spurs. They'll play Man City.
Yeah.
No, their fixture list is very difficult.
They have I think a triple header coming of Manchester City,
Arsenal
Chelsea,
as
and
well.
Arsenal.
Yes, and surely you need to show up like you did against Manchester United to get anything from those games.
Talk to me quickly about that.
I just want to even point something out about the goal. It's the same Wutara who crossed for Billing to score at Arsenal. So you can see that this is something.
A pattern.
It's a pattern. So it's even a bit careless to concede from the same combination.
And to be very honest, if you watch the game, it repeated itself about
That's what
3
I'm saying.
times.
They were
before the goal
reminded
happened.
twice before the goal
The goal happened. And he literally took that back line to the cleaners every time he went down the flank.
And look,
they couldn't do anything about it.
This is something I have about. This is one of my issues with the Jurgen Klopp. It is good to have your fullbacks bomb up the pitch. But there are times as a manager, you need to recognize the threat on either side, because it was clear that Bournemouth's biggest threat
was on the wing.
Was on the right side.
Yep.
So, but look at the starting position of Robertson. Every now and then, Robertson's starting position was in the half of the open. And maybe the system is such that when he goes, Van Dijk is supposed to be the one covering him. But Van Dijk, we know he's not the quickest of defenders. So once the pass go past him and he's involved in any form of race, he's not winning.
Van Dijk is good to zone out, defend every time. Just quick thoughts on Bournemouth. Now that win took them from the bottom of the table to 17th. So it took them right out of the relegation place. Now, I seen the table. A win
It's very tight.
A win takes them again almost another 3 or 2 places up. You've always insisted that they have the poorest squad in the league. You still stand by the fact that they will get relegated, or you think that
I
there's
still
a
believe
lifeline?
it, and that's the thing. It's not that they can't survive. The table is tight, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, the team with the better players will win. And I don't see Gary O'Neill is a good coach from what I've seen. I think he's a very good coach. He's doing very good work with the tools he has. Because from what you've seen the last 2 games, against any team, they're a threat. But I think at the end of the day, just some mistakes that the players will make, some chances they'll miss. Those tiny margins that can't be overcome by coaching, which is what will cause them. Because every team is also, all the coaches in the Premier League are pretty competent to a certain extent. So unless you're an exceptional coach, to get the result, it's going to be very difficult for you. And so that's the reason I don't trust Bournemouth. It's not to do with anything, because I think he's done a good job given the hand he's been given. Because if you even compare Bournemouth, how much they spent in the summer, that was Scott Parker's issue, that he felt that the squad wasn't good enough to compete per the recruitment and what he was seeing other teams were doing. Because remember, Fulham won the league by a distance.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth were second. And they kind of secured second in the last 2-3 games. So it wasn't like they were kind of
dominant.
Yeah. Then Nottingham Forest snuck into the playoffs. Then Nottingham Forest basically bought everybody. So Scott Parker is seeing Fulham, who have a better squad than him, even make better. Because look, they go and buy João Palhinha from Portugal, and they pay a lot of money. This is a player who was playing the Champions League, and you bring him into your midfield, and he's comparing with the players they are trying to buy. They were not even very active, because remember, the owners were trying to sell, so they didn't want to spend money. So they were kind of playing, they were starting the league with one hand tied behind their back, you know. And I don't think that because of the poor start, starting with one hand tied behind your back, the manager changed and all that. And like you said, they went on a 23-match run where they didn't win.
A match,
all those things, it's not because they are not good players, they are not well coached. But right now, where the Premier League is, we're at a stage in the Premier League where teams in the relegation zone in January, when they have problems, they go and hire managers who've won the Europa League and stuff. Lopetegui, former Spain coach, Europa League winning coach with Sevilla, is coming to Wolves.
Almost became Real Madrid coach.
Almost became Real Madrid. In fact, he was Real Madrid coach. In fact, I just remember for a short. He was Real Madrid coach for a short. Remember, he messed up and then he was coach for a short time before he was sacked. Zidane came back. But look, this is a guy with real European pedigree, and he's coming to join a team to save them from relegation. Aston Villa are not doing well. Who did they go to? Isn't it 4-time or 5-time Europa League winning coach Unai Emery? So it's not that Bournemouth, if this was 5-10 years ago, with what Bournemouth have done, they comfortably stay in the league. But where we are and what everyone is doing and the amount of money everyone is spending, I just don't think they can compete.
And then another reason why I agree with Susu, why I think they'll get relegated, is the fact that I don't remember the last time they won a game 1-0, apart from what they did to Liverpool.
True.
And even then, they gave away a penalty.
And they have a main man, Solanke.
He's not scoring.
Who never
Solanke and I are the same.
Yeah, so at the end of the day,
the thing about
Solanke,
Solanke was playing very well in the championship. He scored like, what, 29, 28?
20.
It's not like...
Was brilliant for the England junior team.
Yeah, it's not like this.
I hear he scored only 4 goals in the Premier League.
But I think the system is also means that he's doing a lot of running, occupying defenders, and the chances are not coming to him. He gets 1-2 chances a game.
And he's not that clinical.
Because he's not that clinical, it's making a difference. And so there's a lot of things that are wrong with this team. It's not for a lack of trying. It's not that they are doing badly. But when I compare them to other teams, and that's why I always say, you don't even have to be particularly good to survive in the Premier League. You just need 3 teams to be worse than you. And when I look at Leeds, who can't keep a clean sheet, I look at Southampton, who are just all over the place. The squad, there's no experience in the squad. There's no leadership. Then you look at Everton, who have been mismanaged for years. All those things, those 4 teams for me, I don't see how all 4 of them are staying in the league. There's no way for me. That's why I said, for me, at minimum, 2 of them are going down. Because when you compare to a team like West Ham, even though West Ham are not doing well, David Moyes is a experienced
seasoned coach.
And if you look at the players they bought and the money they spent, the player quality will shine through. And it's just difficult when you're Bournemouth in that situation, like I said, because of how your season starts. And we saw the money they spent in January because they got a new owner who was willing to spend money, which is why Ouattara was bought in January. So it's just unfortunate for me. It's not that they are not a good team, but where the Premier League is...
are just stacked against
because,
them.
look, and even compare the Premier League to the rest of Europe. Bournemouth and AC Milan were competing for Nicolo Zaniolo in January. That's where we've reached. AC Milan, who are in the Champions League quarterfinals, and Bournemouth were competing for the same player, but Bournemouth can't stay in the Premier League. It just shows you how competitive the Premier League is.
Yep.